Hashem נעשה ונצליח, שיעור תורה. אדוני שפתי תפתח לפי יגיד תהילתך. Hashem will learn some things about Parashat Shavua and about life. This week's Parashat Terumah. Unlike the other Parashot, where there's a storyline and you know what's going on with Moses, what's going on with Am Yisrael. Only the beginning of this parasha is a bit of the story, and then the rest of it they tell you about how they're building the Mishkan and the Mizbeach and all of the other details. But this week's parasha, it starts off with the story, but then the rest of the details are about the details of how they're building different pieces of the Mishkan and then the place where God's going to be with them in a desert for the next 40 years. But even this parasha, I tell you guys every week that the way to know that the Torah is from Hashem, and only from Hashem, is that every parasha has proof of it being from Him, mainly by seeing that it's relevant to our life. It has to be relevant to our life today. So in the beginning of the parasha is where the storyline, that's pretty much, in my opinion, that's where I found that it's the most relevant to our life, because none of us are going to necessarily going to build a Mishkan or Mizbeach or any of those other things right now. But even those tools, we'll see, we'll learn a few things about them, that how they're relevant to our life, because even the way that they're built is extraordinary. So in the beginning of the parasha it says, "Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe le'emor, daber bnei Yisrael, v'yikhu li terumah, me'et kol ish asher yidbenu, libo tikhu et terumati." So it says, Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and let them take for me a portion from every man whose heart motivates him. You shall take my portion." So Hashem says, go to every man and tell them to give me the Terumah. Like tzedakah, give them something to build these things. You need the gold, you need the silver, you need the wood, all of these things. He says, take from them my Terumah, and in essence, you're taking what's mine. So first of all, we have to ask, when someone is giving tzedakah, he's giving tzedakah, so you shouldn't say, take from them the Terumah. You should say, get from them, ask them to give us. And on the other hand, he's also saying, tikhu et terumati, you shall take my portion. So what Hashem is telling us over here is that it's everything you really have is mine. It's not yours. I just lend it to you. You're using it in this world, but it's not really yours. It's mine. So take from them what's actually mine to build for me a Mishkan that's going to benefit you. So that's the biggest part that we have to learn in this particular parasha. That's how we learn how to deal with our business. Every one of us spends the most of our life trying to make parnasah, trying to build a house, trying to build a family, trying to buy a car, trying to build a business, and all of these things that we try to do. And what we end up spending so much time on is doing it ourselves. We're trying to figure out a way of how we can make more money. And sometimes, if somebody is not learning Torah, if someone is not really putting Hashem as a partner into their business, we actually think that it's ours, that we did it. And at the end of the day, in reality, we didn't do anything. It's all in Hashem's hands. It's 100% all in Hashem's hands. It's all really His. It's not ours. So let's say you have a guy, he says, you know what, I'm a championship boxer. I don't work in a company that sells mufflers or sells cars or sells anything. I don't sell anything. So yes, maybe in those businesses Hashem is getting you the customers, but no, I'm a professional boxer. So I work with my body. I go in the ring, I fight, I beat up the other guy, I make millions of dollars, so Hashem didn't give me anything. That's what he thinks in his mind. Another guy has a different company, a different company. He sells different goods. He sells phones or anything else that you want to sell. And he says, yeah, you know what, listen, I advertise on Google, and I advertise in the newspaper and in the magazines, and I do all of I work really smart, I beat my competitors, my price is always lower, and I always make sure that my advertisement is in the middle of the street and you see it from the billboards. So it's because of my brain that the Parashat came. Both of them are wrong. The second one that says, listen, I did all of this advertising, is saying that I did all of this advertising and therefore that's why the customers came. How is he wrong? Because the reality of it is that if Hashem wanted him to fail, all of the advertising that he can do in the world could reach no one. There could be a smarter competitor that does it a little bit better, and he can get no customers. The fact that every customer even sees his advertising, sees his products, or even wants to buy his product, is all from Hashem. Every day, somebody wakes up and they don't think about all the things I need to buy. They think about, managing their own day. So the fact that Hashem made it happen, where that guy, that customer, drove in the middle of the, in the highway, and all of a sudden he's thinking, you know what, I need a phone. And he looks at the advertisement and he sees a billboard with a phone, he sees a number, and he cares enough about wanting this phone at that moment that he takes the phone number and calls the guy. That's all from Hashem. That's not from the guy's advertising. So we see how he's wrong. Then the second guy thinks maybe it's a little more difficult because he's not selling anything. He's a boxer. He's fighting the other guy. He worked out every day for the last 15 years. So maybe he's right. But even he's wrong. Why? Because you have to realize that every day we wake up and our soul comes back from Shemayim into our body and we say, Modesty. We thank God for bringing back our soul. And then we have a working body. Then we're able to go to the bathroom. We're able to walk. We're able to drink. We're able to eat. We're able to lift weights. We're able to talk. We're able to do all of these things. So in reality, if Hashem didn't want it to happen, it wouldn't happen. How do we know? If you look at just the human brain, we just talked about this actually yesterday. The human brain, most of it is water. But the rest of it is tissue. Now, in the old days, before modern technology, a lot of people thought that it's just one big tissue, one piece that's connected, and it's like a sponge. But then as technology advanced, we realized that it's definitely not one big tissue. What is it? It's a bunch of wires. It's a bunch of very, very, very thin wires that are connected and go over and over and over and over again that make it look like it's a tissue.
מה זה טישו בדיוק?
טישו זה... תא? נראה לי קוראים לזה תא.
תא? אוקיי.
תאים. So it's not one tissue, it's all these little small veins, these wires. Where they say that the human brain has enough wires where if you can go from here, one brain can go, the wires can go from here, all the way to the moon and back. A couple of times, just with one brain. Meaning that every human brain has more wiring than all of the telecom companies in the world combined. Verizon, AT&T, and whoever else is still in business these days, all of them combined, they've been working for over 100 years to try to put the wires on the ground so we have cell phone calls and home calls and all of these computers working at one time. Just one brain has more wires than all of them combined. Just one brain. Now, if somebody wants to look at one of those wires, they can't, unless they put it under a microscope, because each wire is 1/1000th of a hair. That's how thin it is. So you look at one of your hairs, take one of your hairs out of your head, you see a hair, it's 1/1000th of that hair in size. That's how small it is. So what's the big deal? If that boxer wakes up one day, and just one, he has trillions and trillions of wires in his brain, but just one tiny, tiny, tiny little wire rips. That's it. Just doesn't, just disconnects. All of a sudden, the person is neche. He's crippled. Can't walk ever again. All of a sudden, he can't see. All of a sudden, he can't eat. All of a sudden, he's automatically dead because the blood can't flow anymore and he's completely brain dead. Just one tiny wire. We're not talking about the entire brain like you think. Sometimes, some people, they have these giant surgeries and you're thinking, wow, this is going to be very dangerous. They're going to cut off a piece of his brain and he's going to be missing a piece of his brain. We're not talking about that. We're talking about one tiny, tiny little wire. One wire in the right place disconnects, and that's it. That's all she wrote. That's the rest of the show. So that boxer, with all of his strength, and all of his training, and all of the things that he thinks he knows, in reality, the only reason he even functions as a human being for 1 second is because of Hashem. And that's one thing. So there's a good story I read that also shows us that Parashat is from Shamayim, and I think it's probably one of the most relevant. We're going to spend a lot of time on this because it's one of the most relevant subjects in our world today, because most people spend 99% of their days worrying about Parashat. Even more than their children, even more than their wives, even more than their anything else, they're worrying about Parashat. When you ask somebody, listen, why are you working so much? Saying, oh, listen, I need to have my kids go to yeshiva, or I need my wife to have a brand new car, or I need to get a new house that's bigger than the one that I already have. They say it's for all of these things. In reality, that's only a small reason why. The bigger reason why people want more parnasah is because they want more material. They want more stuff. We spend most of our life trying to get more stuff so we can be in a higher level, because in our mind, when there's less Torah, that means there's more material. So what ends up happening is that we end up thinking that, okay, I have so much, I have 100% of room in my brain. 90% of it is empty, because I need, only 10% of it is, full of the stuff that I have fun with. So I figure that I'm not going to learn Torah. I have to fill it up with something. So if I get more stuff, then I'll have 20% of my brain filled, and 30%, and 40%. They think that if they get more and more stuff, they're going to be smarter, they're going to be happier, they're going to be more, just more successful all around. And the reality is very, very, very different, because happiness is not even something that is relevant to something material. Happiness is a spiritual thing. Happiness is not a physical emotion. Like if I asked you, are you happy? And you say yes, I ask you to prove it to me. Show me that you're happy. How can you show me you're happy? What are you going to show me, your bank account? That's not showing me that you're happy. There's plenty of people with millions of dollars, a lot more than everybody here, and they're not happy. What are you going to show me, your girlfriend or your wife or somebody else in a picture? That doesn't mean you're happy. There's plenty of people that have the most beautiful wives or husband in the world, and they're not happy. What are we going to show you? You have kids? Okay, plenty of people have kids. They're not happy. Happiness is not something that's connected to material. Happiness is a spiritual, it's completely spiritual. It's something that has nothing to do with material. And one time they asked Bill Gates in Israel. Bill Gates went to Israel, and you know how the Israeli newscasters, they have a little bit more chutzpah than the Americans do. And the woman said, you know what, you're the right guy to ask this question. So does money make you happy? Does money make somebody happy? Is that true? And the way that Bill Gates responded couldn't be better. He got so upset at the question. He goes, it has nothing to do with that. Happiness and money have nothing to do with each other. It's only convenience. So somebody that's the richest person in the world, you would think he would know. Happiness, if money makes me happy, he should know. He has billions of dollars. He gave away already $30 billion. That's how much money he has. So somebody that has more money than he would ever need is telling you one thing has nothing to do with the other. So what does that teach us? That when we live a life that's constantly trying to get material in order to make us happy, we're already in the wrong direction. We're already wrong. So it's like, for example, somebody wants to drive from here all the way to New York. And they say, okay, listen, take I-95, you can get all the way to New York. He says, no, you know what? I'm going to take the Turnpike. Turnpike's not going to get you to New York. He goes, no, it's going to get me to New York. No, but it's not. Look at the map. It goes from here. Maybe Turnpike was going to take you to somewhere else completely, a different state altogether. He goes, no, it's going to do it. It's going to do it. No, it's not. It's going to go from here. Look, the map has a straight line. It goes from here all the way to New York. Follow that road. It's I-95. It gets to New York. So us, being so akshanim, being so stubborn, no, I'm going to take the Turnpike. It's going to get me there. And that's really our mentality. Torah is telling us, Hashem is telling us, listen, happiness is not going to come from money. What do we do? No, Hashem, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. We're going to take the Turnpike and we're going to be happy. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Why? Because the Creator, He obviously knows. He knows more than us. He created us. He gave us instructions. He told us this is what you need to do in order to be happy. And we're saying, no, Creator, you don't know what you're talking about. We have different instructions. How do you know? No, my friend told me. Who's your friend? It's some guy that somehow got to New York taking a turnpike. Really? You sure you got there? I'm not so sure, but I think he did. We have no basis for why we operate this way. The only explanation for it is the Yetzer Hara. Why? Because the Yetzer Hara was created in this world to steer us in the wrong direction. His entire purpose in this world is to steer us in the wrong direction. Every time we have two choices. We have kosher, we have non-kosher. We choose non-kosher. Yetzer Hara is the one that's pushing us for non-kosher. Every time we say, go to Beit Knesset, don't go to Beit Knesset. Yetzer Hara tells us, what are you going to go to Beit Knesset for? Every time it says, listen, be modest or not be modest to a woman. No, I don't want to be modest. Well, who's going to look at me really? He's always going to give us different excuses. And Chazal tell us that the Yetzer Hara is smarter than all of mankind put together. So for us to think we're going to outsmart him is not going to work. So what does Hashem say? Hashem says, I created the Yetzer Hara, who's smarter than every man in history. Put all the people together. Combine them together, all the smartest people, Einstein and Aristo and anyone you could imagine, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and anyone that you possibly want, put them all together, plus all of the people that ever existed, and they're not even a small percentage of Yetzer Hara. Not even one small percentage. So Hashem says, obviously you can't outsmart the Yetzer Hara. You can't. It's not possible. You could be as smart as you want. You're still not going to be smarter than any of these other people. And they weren't smarter than Yetzer Hara. So of course you're not going to be smarter than Yetzer Hara. So how do we beat them? I created the Yetzer Hara, but I also created the Torah as a tavlin. The Torah is going to be the potion that will help you beat him. It's the only way to beat the Yetzer Hara is through this potion. It's like anyone that has a sickness, someone that's sick. He goes to the doctor and he says, listen, doctor, I'm sick, I have a cold, I have this, I have that. Doctor says, okay, here you go. Here, drink this 3 times a day, and you'll be cured. A smart person says, okay, the doctor knows, he's been in business for 30 years. He knows what he's doing, so I'm going to drink this, I'm going to try it out. What does a foolish person do? Says, no, you know what, doctor? I don't think you know what you're talking about. I'm not going to drink it. I'm going to drink something else. I'm going to drink something, maybe I want to drink a different drink. But it's not the medicine. And that's what we're saying to Hashem every day. Hashem says, listen, you want to beat the Yetzer Hara? You want to be a tzaddik? You want to fulfill your purpose in this world? Here's the medicine. It's called the Torah. Go to yeshiva, learn some Torah, learn at home, whatever you want. However you want to learn. Hashem does not say you have to go to a yeshiva every day to learn and only do that. He tells you, listen, you could work. It's okay to work. It's not a bad thing to work. But you have to learn Torah. You want to beat the Yetzer Hara, you have to learn Torah. What do we say? No, Hashem, you know what? Maybe you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try, instead of learning Torah, I'm going to try buy a new car. Maybe that's going to make me happy. No, you know what, Hashem? Instead of learning Torah, I'm going to change the color of my car because that's going to make me happy. Because the old color made me upset, so maybe a new color is going to make me happy. Or maybe the girlfriend that I have now is not making me happy, so I'm going to change the girlfriend and that's going to make me happy. So we're giving the Creator advice about His own creation. Very silly. So it doesn't make any sense. But that's what we do every day. Why? Because we're not using the medicine. The medicine is the Torah. It's the only way that someone can beat the Yetzer Hara is through the Torah. That's it. There's no other way. There's no plan B, there's no plan C, there's no plan, none of that. None of that exists. So going back to Parashat. So you have people that believe that Parashat is through their own efforts. Own efforts. Listen, I work hard. I wake up early in the morning. I finish late at night. And I'm going to make more money than the guy that works less. That's how it works. When I was very involved in the business world, that's the way my brain worked. I said, listen, I'm going to be the first one in the office and the last one in the office. So I'd leave the house at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. get to the office, work till about 12 o'clock at night, go back home, get home at about 1:30 in the morning, sleep for a few hours, and go back. That was logically, that's what made sense to me. And once it started working, when I started making money, I'm like, what a chacham I am. Look, see, I worked harder than everybody else. I made money. It worked. So I figured that, you know what, if I continue this way, I'm going to continue making more and more money forever. Bill Gates should start getting worried because I'm going to have more money than him. But then Hashem said, not so smart. Not so smart. Because you weren't brought to this world to work. You weren't brought to this world to just wake up in the morning and only do work. You were brought to the world to do other things. I give you the instructions of what you need to do, and that's what I brought you to the world. So one day you decided that, you know what, you could continue working really, really hard, but see, you're going to have no results. How do you explain that? I've already been doing the same thing every day for 10 years, 9 years. Every day I'm working non-stop, making money, and then all of a sudden, it stops working. So I'm thinking that it's going to be, it's not making sense. I'm thinking that, wait a minute, I worked for 9-10 years, and it worked really, really good. If I continue working, maybe this year I didn't make money, but next year I'm going to make money again. So I try another year, but instead of making, I start losing. Imagine going to work every day, you're working 18 hours a day, and you're losing money. It's the opposite. You're pretty much saying to yourself, at the end of the day, it was better off that I didn't work at all, at least I wouldn't lose. So I said, okay, you know what, last year I didn't make money, this year I lost money, next year I'm going to break even. I'm going to get back what I lost. So continue working hard. Next year comes, what happens? Lose money again. Even more money than the year before. So Hashem was talking to me and telling me, listen, your work, it's very nice. You have a hard worker. It's a very good characteristic to have. It's a very good characteristic to have, to be a hard worker. The problem is that you're spending all that work on the wrong thing. And stubbornly, it took me a while to realize it. So one time there was two people. One of them is his name was Aaron. The other one is Moshe. And both of them were in the tile business. Both of them are in Jerusalem. They're in the tile business. Aaron is very, very charutz, very dedicated to his work. Wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Works till about 10 o'clock at night. Very little time for the family or anything else. He's very busy trying to make his company become the next big thing. Moshe, not so ambitious with work. He starts work at 12 o'clock. He wakes up early in the morning. He wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But from 6 o'clock he goes to shul. After shul he studies Torah. Gets to work somewhere around 12 o'clock. Works till about 4 or 5 o'clock. Goes back home. Go to Knesset again. Goes home. Learns a little bit more Torah. And spends some time with the family. Completely different life. So one day the two, they're working next door to each other. They both have tile businesses, but, like in any industry, competition is always next to each other. And there's many stories about people like that, where they think if my competition opened next door to me, he's taking my parashat. It's completely wrong, by the way, because again, we'll prove it from this story. So these guys, one guy's working on this side of the street, the other one is working on the other side of the street. So Moshe, the one that's religious and observant, tells Aaron, why are you breaking your head every day? Why are you working so many hours? Listen, come with me to the Bet Midrash. Learn some Torah. You enjoy your life a little bit more. Spend some more time with your family. Why are you working so much? You're still going to make this just as much money. It's all from Hashem. So Aaron tells him, what are you talking about? Hashem, what are you... Listen, I work really hard. I promise you. Next year, I'm going to make a lot more money than you. He goes, okay, tzedakah. One day Moshe, the righteous one, goes to this new neighborhood, and he runs into this Korean guy who's looking for different business partners, and he's also in the tile business. He's a manufacturer, and he says, yeah, listen, I have these new tiles, and I have these new tiles. I'm trying to find people that are going to sell my tiles. So Moshe says, what's the price? He tells him the price. He sees, wow, this is amazing quality tiles. For half the price that I'm getting it for. He goes, yeah, I'm willing to buy. I'm willing to buy X amount of tiles. He goes, no, I can't. I have to sell you all of them. All of what he has is double of what Moshe needs. So Moshe is thinking, what can I do? What can I do? I mean, of course, Parashat from Shamayim. Of course, Hashem would not send this Korean guy to me for no reason. But I can only afford half of what he has. So he's thinking. He goes, you know what? Maybe I should call Aaron and ask him if he wants to be partners with me. He buys it for his store, I'll buy it for my store, and that's it. Both of us are happy. So he calls Aaron, tells Aaron the details. He goes, of course, yeah, betach, yeah, buy it for me, 100%. Thank you very much. I knew you were a tzaddik. All of a sudden he's his buddy again. So they buy the tiles from the Korean guy, and both stores have the exact same product, and they're both next door to each other. Moshe continues with his life, goes to the Bet Midrash, continues learning Torah every day, starts working at 12 o'clock, and makes whatever sales he can make. Aaron, same thing. Wakes up early in the morning, goes to work, dedicated to work, no Bet Midrash, no Torah, no family, no nothing. He just focused on work. One day, a pastor comes to Moshe's store, and he says, listen, I need to fix my church, and I want to, I'm looking for new tiles. He looks at his tiles, he goes, yeah, this is good stuff. How much is it? He gives him the price. He goes, okay, so I'm going to buy. He buys a bunch of it. Okay, said. The pastor goes back to his people, and he shows some other people that have churches and wedding halls and different things, this stuff. And, oh, wow, this is amazing stuff. I need to do this. Everybody all of a sudden wants it. So they call Moshe and they say, listen, we all want it. He goes, sure, okay, come tomorrow. I'll be there. So the next day, they don't know his hours. They go to his store at 8 o'clock in the morning. What happens? The store's closed. And he's got 30, 40 people waiting online. But Moshe's not there. Moshe's not there. Aaron sees this. He says, see, I told him that not being a charutz, not being dedicated and ambitious is not going to pay off. He's learning Torah. What's this Torah doing for him? So he goes to the people, goes, what are you looking for? They tell him what he's looking for. He goes, I have the same thing. Come to my store, buddy. Come. All 30 people come to him. They look at the tile. He's so happy. He's already counting the money he's making already. He's thinking, here's the yofer. What a smart guy I am. All of a sudden, he starts seeing everybody's face change. No, this is not the same. No, they look at him like, no, it's something else. He goes, no, this is the same thing you wanted. He goes, no, it's not the same quality. This is not good quality. He goes, no, this is the same thing you gave it to me. It's the same thing. He goes, it's not the same thing. They get so upset, like, no, we're leaving. They come back later on in the day. They go back to Moshe. He sees all 30 people show up to Moshe's place at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So he wants to see what's happening. Within maybe 30 minutes, he sees everybody walking out with receipts, and trucks are coming, picking up all of his tiles. Same one that he was trying to sell. So he goes to Moshe, he goes, you know what? Maybe you are right. My dedication to work can just do so much. Maybe he can get the customer to me. But Hashem is the only one that's going to decide if it's going to become a customer or not. Same product. But Hashem decides if he's going to be a customer or not. And that's what we have to realize. So you go to work every day. You try to make money. You try to do whatever you got to do. But you have to always remember, Hashem told us, the money that you have, it's my money. It's not your money. It's my money. The car you have is mine. The house you have is mine. Everything you want is mine. If you do what I want, I'll give you more of my stuff. And that's what he says in his Parashat. He's telling you, tell Am Yisrael to give me my stuff, to give me my Terumah. It's mine. It's not theirs. And that's what we have to realize in our life, when we go to work and we break our heads and try to work hard and harder and harder and harder. You're just wasting your time. You're wasting your life working so much if you only work and have no Hashem in your life. And sometimes you have people say, you know what, okay, yes, maybe you're right. So I go to Beit Knesset on Shabbat. I go to Beit Knesset on Shabbat. The rest of the week, I don't have so much time. Okay, what about Torah? Do you have any time for Torah? No, maybe I'll learn 5 minutes a day. Maybe I'll learn 5 minutes a week. I don't have so much time for him. I'm busy. I'm trying to work. So you think about it. So Hashem is the one that's doing all of the work. He made your body function. He makes the wire in your brain function. He made your hands work. He made your mouth work. He makes you able to do anything that you're doing because of him. Which in reality, he's doing all the work. So imagine you have a company, and you have one employee, and he's making all of the sales, and after he makes all of the sales, he takes care of all of the inventory. After he takes care of all of the inventory, he ships all of the stuff himself. And after he ships it, he calls back all of the customers. He does everything that there is to do, and after the end of the day, he throws out all of the garbage. You're just sitting there and just watching him all day. He's doing all of the work. And the worker says to you, listen, can I have a raise? Can I have a little bit of, can I have a little bit of a raise? I'm not asking for a break. I'm happy. I want to work. But can I have a little bit of a raise? Can I have a piece of what you have? And you tell him no. Is that right? You think that employee is going to stay with you? He's not going to stay with you. He's doing everything. He's saying he's happy he's doing it. But he's not. But it's not a fair relationship. So Hashem tells us, give us a piece. Give me a piece of my stuff. So how can we give Hashem a piece of what's already his? First thing is mentally. First thing that's required is mentally. What's mentally? He needs our time every day. We have to remember every day to thank him for everything he's giving us that's his. How do we thank him? We thank him with prayers. We thank him by learning his Torah, his instructions. We thank him by operating our life in accordance to what he said to do. That's how we thank him. The second thing is we make him a business partner. How do we make Hashem a business partner? Hashem tells us that there are two parts of our income that we have to give. One of them is MaAser, which we'll go over in a second, and the other one is tzedakah. The two of them, a lot of people think it's two of the same thing. It's not. MaAser is one thing, and tzedakah is one thing. MaAser is 10%, a minimum of 10% of someone's net income needs to go towards Hashem. What do you mean Hashem? Hashem is not coming down here and taking the money from you. It's things that have to do with Hashem. Whether it's tzedakah to people that learn Torah, whether it's to people that are doing kiruv, people that are in need, things like that. And Hashem says, I give you $10,000, and out of the $10,000 you have, let's say, $6,000 in expenses, real expenses, like your mortgage or your rent, your car, not vacations and things like that. Your net expenses that are real expenses. You have $6,000 in expenses, that means you have $4,000 left. After your real expenses, your food and everything else. Out of the $4,000, I want 10%. It's mine. The whole $10,000 is mine, he's telling you. But I only want $400 out of it. $400 gives to something that's relating to my work, which is the Torah, mitzvot, Talmidim Chachamim, things like that. He's telling you, the only reason I'm giving you the $10,000 is because of the $400 that I want you to give. Not because I want you to have $10,000. And this is not one of the, a lot of people think that this is a choice. Like some people say, no, you know what, I just give tzedakah, I don't do the MaAser. It's not for me, I'm not at that level yet. What they're not realizing that this is not a question of whether you can or you can't give it. This is just like eating pig, you're not allowed to do it. Same thing with MaAser. This is just like you're not allowed to, do a little things. Huh?
It's like taxes.
Exactly. But only difference is here you get something back. Hashem says, I give you the money so you can give it to people that need it.
Let me ask you a question. This is a chidush for me. The 10% is not from the 10,000, it's only from the 4,000?
It's from the net profit, yeah.
Yeah, 6,000, you mean you don't...
Is your expenses that are real expenses.
Okay, so first you have to pay yourself, that's what you mean?
Well, that's, you're not paying yourself, you're living.
Your basic living and everything.
Right.
Then the 10% from the extras.
Right. Why? Because if, let's say, for example, somebody makes only 5,000, let's say, but their expenses are 5,000, Hashem is not going to tell him, listen, give $500 and be $500 in the hole because of this. So you can't not eat because you have to give Hashem. Hashem is not going to do that. So Hashem says, you have your expense. But this is, again, be very careful with expenses.
Yeah.
Be very careful with expenses. A lot of people think that, listen, if I go on vacation, that's part of my expenses. Or if I buy a watch for $2,000 this month, that's part of my expenses. That's not expenses. Expenses are very basic needs of life. Your mortgage, your food, the kids' school, things like that. Things that are basic necessities of life. Yeah.
כתוב על מעשר that if you give it, you'll get even richer.
We'll get to that in a second. So Hashem says, I'm going to give you this, not because I want you to have the 10,000, but because I want you to give. I want to test you. And a lot of people, especially, people in our generation, like to test Hashem. They always ask these strange questions. And they say, listen, if Hashem is real, why don't he come and talk to me? Or if Hashem is real, why don't he make this guy do this or do that? Why? They try to test Hashem. If Hashem really likes me, then he's going to help me win the lotto. If Hashem likes me, he's going to get me this deal. They like to test Hashem. It's not a very, very good idea because sometimes people ask a lot of strange questions. And Chazal tell us that you ask these questions without a real intention of finding out the answers. There's going to come a day where Hashem is going to bring you up to give you the answers. So now, you have a person that is giving the MaAser. Great. So the guy says, okay, what's in it for me? Okay, so I'm happy, I have my income. Great. I'm giving the MaAser, great, what's for me? This is where Hashem says, this is the only thing that you're allowed to test me. MaAser v'titasher. Hashem says, if you do MaAser, but you do it in a precise way, not occasionally, not when you feel like it, or when it's convenient, but you do it on a regular basis, and you track it, and you document it. You have to be just like you are with your business. Just like you follow your expenses and your taxes and everything else, you have to follow your MaAser to make sure that you're giving the right amount. If you do that, I promise you that you will become rich.
So you give it to who?
Well, that's the key. The key of any tzedakah is not just the giving, but who you're giving it to. You can't just give it to just anyone. You can't just give it to your brother because you like your brother. Or you can't just give it to your parents because you like your parents. You can't just give it to some homeless guy because he looks nice and he looks like he needs it. You have to make sure that you know who you're giving it to. The two things that we keep mentioning every week that are the primary things, the number one, we have to be businessmen, not only in this world for us making money, but also in mitzvot. You have to be a businessman. Where am I going to get the highest reward? There are two things that you get the highest reward from. One is the people that learn Torah their entire life and don't work. And two is people that do kiruv, meaning people that are spending their life to get other people to do Torah and mitzvot, to do tshuva. One of them, the Torah is because these are the people that because of them the world exists. Hashem says that if there's 1 second, that there's no Torah in, the whole world would completely disappear. Just 1 second. If there's 1 second in this world where there's no Torah, where there's nobody learning Torah, doing anything relevant to Torah, for 1 second, the world would immediately disappear. It would be destroyed faster than Noah. We know how that could happen, obviously. Not that we're questioning Hashem's methods, but we learned about the atoms just a week or two ago, and how everything that's in existence is dependent on these atoms continuing to spin. If they stop spinning, everything would just disappear. It wouldn't need an explosion. It wouldn't need a mabul. It wouldn't need anything to actually happen. It wouldn't need any bombs or wars. It could just stop spinning and everything would disappear. So Hashem has many, many methods. That's one of them that is logical to us, that can happen very instantly. Chas v'chalila. So Hashem says that the people that are learning Torah, those very same people that many, unfortunately, people in the Israeli government are complaining about are the very same people that are keeping this world going. One question that you would have is that, all of these people are complaining about Bnei Torah, and they're complaining about these yeshiva boys, they're not working, they don't want to go to the army, they're batlanim, they're lazy, they're this, they're that, all of these, lo alenu, just these horrendous things that they say about them. But for us that we believe in Torah, and we know that whatever Hashem says is true, and when Hashem says that if there's no Torah for 1 second, there's not going to be a world. Imagine if there really was one Jew that was righteous in Sdom. We learned about this a few months ago, but the Parashat, when you have Hashem talking to Avraham Avinu, and Hashem says, I'm going to destroy Sdom, Sodom, I'm going to destroy it. So Avraham tells him, what if there's some righteous people there? What if there are 50? He goes, yeah, I won't destroy it. What if there are 45? Then I won't destroy it. What if there are 40? I won't destroy it. And he keeps going down in numbers. If there was one guy that was learning Torah in Sdom, it wouldn't be destroyed. One guy. Why? Because Hashem is not going to make the righteous one suffer just because there's Rashaim around them. But if you imagine, if you have Sdom with all of these Rashaim, all of these people that are going against Torah, and they're looking at this yeshiva boy learning Gemara all day, and they say, batlan, lazy, this, all the things that they say about them, not realizing that the only reason they're alive is because of him. The only reason they're still breathing is because of him, this batlan that they call batlan. That's the same thing that's happening in our world. Same thing that's happening in Israel right now, unfortunately.
Maybe between these people there is real batlanim, and that's what they're talking about. There is real batlanim. They find out after investigation that these guys are not doing anything. They're really bothering the society. They don't really study, and they're really, these guys should go to the army. So it's not all
in every tree, in every apple tree, there's going to be a raw apple. In every tree, in every apple tree, there's going to be a bad apple. In every tree. But the problem is that people go to this apple tree. They see these amazing yeshivot. They see all these students, and everybody's studying. And they see one guy smoking on the side, not learning. And they say, they're all like this. How do we know they're saying they're all like this? Because they're making all of them suffer. Mm-hmm. The government benefits disappeared. Not only the government benefits disappearing, or disappeared already, where they're getting nothing, where even someone that's an Arab, a terrorist, is getting more from the Israeli government than someone that's a Ben Torah. Terrorists are getting more. How do we know? One of the guys that was in the Israeli government that was convicted for doing treason, for giving information of the Israeli military to the terrorists. This someone belongs in jail forever. He runs away. They don't catch him. But until this day, he still gets a wire every month of his pension. So someone that's helping a terrorist kill our nation is still getting a paycheck from the Israeli government right now. That's how we know that the Arabs are getting more than the people that are dedicating their life to Torah. Why? Because they saw one guy smoking outside, or 2 guys, or 5 guys, or whatever it is, and they said, no, you know what, there's only a couple of people like this. They're all like this. The whole tree is bad. Let's cut down the whole tree. Let's cut down the whole tree. It's all bad. So that's the thing. So the problem, the reality of it is, yes, in every tree there's going to be a bad apple, 100%. But you can't make everybody suffer. On top of that, they're making their life very difficult. They're even getting to the extent where they're going to fine people that the husband doesn't work and he's in a yeshiva all day. They're going to fine them for not working. This is ridiculous. This is asking Hashem to bring Sdom again. This is asking for trouble. Asking for it. So we have to think about it. If Hashem is Hashem, That's the Hashem in the Torah. He's Hashem all the time. If Hashem told us, if you have one tzaddik, I wouldn't have destroyed, then obviously you should help these people. Not only they should help these yeshiva boys, they should make all of them millionaires. Because in reality, the only reason the rest of the world exists is because of them. But unfortunately, people don't believe that. The other people, so these people are keeping the world round. Why the kiruv people? Why people like Rabbi Mizrahi or Amnon Yitzchak or people like that are dedicating their life to do kiruv? Because they, unlike a cop or a firefighter or anyone that's a soldier that's trying to save human lives in war and crime and things like that, someone that's a rabbi that's trying to make people do tshuva is saving a soul. Mm-hmm. If you save a life, you save him here, but you don't know what's going to happen to them. He could end up killing 10 people the next day. So in reality, it was a bad save. If you, let's say for example, if somebody was going to say, listen, this baby, I think we should kill this baby because he's sick, he's not good, he's this, I think we should just let it die. And his smart doctor comes, no, I'll take care of him. I'm going to save his life. And that baby becomes Hitler. Did he do good or did he do bad? It's questionable, right? Same thing we had in one of the Parashat a couple of weeks ago. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to save one of the babies, and that baby ended up becoming a big rasha, which helped them build the golden calf. So you're saving the nefesh, you're saving the body of a person. It's not always a good idea. But when someone does kiruv, he's saving their soul. He's changing their entire life. Not only in this world, but in the next world. He's guaranteeing that that person will have a next world. He's telling somebody, listen, you're going from this direction that you're going, that's the wrong way, and you're going to the right way now. And now you're going to do it, Torah and mitzvot, you're going to learn a little bit of Torah every day, you're going to eat kosher, you're going to keep Shabbat, you're going to do all of these things, and this person is going to change his life. Then his wife is going to do it, and eventually his kids are going to do it, and you change the entire direction of everything that happens from that person forever. That's someone that's saving a soul, and obviously that's somebody very, very special. So that's why those are the two most important things to give tzedakah to, because they actually are things that have significant results. Listen, giving some money to somebody that's very poor or someone that's in need of some kind, yeah, it's good. But again, if you're going to be a businessman in mitzvot, and you're going to be smart, you want to give it to the one that has the most potential. If I give it to the Beit Knesset, for example, Beit Knesset's going to get another Sefer Torah, great, they have another Sefer Torah. Somebody reads it every week, you get a mitzvah every time they read it. But if I help this rabbi that's doing kiruv, and he helps even one person turn into somebody that's religious, every mitzvah that he does goes into your account also. One into his account, one into your account. On top of that, every mitzvah that his kids have, the kids have mitzvah, and you have a mitzvah. Everything that comes out of him, you get one. And that's why they say someone that helps somebody do kiruv, they end up getting even more than the person that's doing it. So, if we think about it logically, okay, I have one option is to do a mitzvah and let's say put a plaque on the Beit Knesset or I don't know, buy some aliyah or something like that. Great, it's a nice mitzvah. It's not a bad thing. But and I could get a mitzvah for that day or maybe once a week, or let's say I'll get 100 of them every year. But another chance, I have an opportunity to maybe get thousands of mitzvot every day. It's not even close. So Hashem tells us, listen, if you want to test me, you're allowed to test me with MaAser. If you give the 10%, I guarantee that you will be richer. But he doesn't tell you when. Why doesn't he tell you when? Because if he told us when, then it would eliminate our free choice. If every time somebody gave MaAser, if every time somebody gave 10% of their money to somebody, and automatically they became rich, then you'd have even the biggest terrorists in the world standing by rabbis and giving them 10% every 10 minutes because they're thinking it works. So obviously this can't work that way. So Hashem is going to test you. There's a famous story of one time there was two guys that were both very successful. One guy had I think something like a $50 million business, and the other guy had about a $7 million business. So still both successful, but So the guy with the $7 million business, I think I may have told you guys this story, but he says to the $50 million guy, listen, how did you get so big? I need to know your secret. I mean, I built it, I worked for 30 years, I got it to a $7 million business, but I really want to get to 50, but I can't do it. Because my secret is that I give MaAser. Because what's MaAser? MaAser is I give 10% of my income every year, and Hashem made me rich. Okay, he goes, okay, so I'm going to start doing it. So the first year, he said, okay, so I made $7 million. I'm going to give, in profit, I'm going to give 10%. So he gives $700,000. The next year, he sees it didn't go up from 7 million, it actually went down to 6.8 million. He says, oh, if it's going down this way, the economy is tough right now. Maybe next year, again, it's going to go down to maybe 6 million. So I'm only going to give 600,000. Yeah, I'm going to be smart. I don't want to give too much. So he gives 600,000. He sees that he was right. The business went down to 6 million. So $600,000 was right. He says, you know what? Times are tough now. Maybe next year it's going to be only 5 million. If it gets to 6 million again, I'll give the extra. If it gets to 7 million, I'll give the extra. But now I know it's going to be maybe 5 million, so I'm going to give 500,000. And he was right again. It went down to 5 million. And the next year again, he says, you know what? I'm going to do 400,000. And it went to 4 million. And again and again and again, all the way down to when his business became a $500,000 business. So at that point, he goes back to the rich guy. He goes, I lost my whole business listening to your advice. What advice did you give me? He goes, well, what did you do? And he tells him what he did. He goes, you made a mistake. He goes, well, what mistake did I make? I gave all this money. He goes, yeah, but you started using your own logic. You were saying that if you make this money, you're going to give extra. But if not, then, you're going to give what you're going to give. So what you ended up doing is that you didn't trust Hashem to give you. You made him a partner, but you told the partner that you don't trust him. So Hashem said, okay, you want to give 500,000? Okay, so I'll give you 5 million. You want to give 400,000? I'll give you 4 million. If you would have trusted Hashem and given the right amount, your business would have done the exact opposite. So he started doing the opposite, and it grew back. So a long, long time. But again, the key is with MaAser and with tzedakah in general, it's to make it something that we track. It's to make it something that's a regular part of our life, and to give it as often as possible. What do I mean by as often as possible? Some people like to say, you know what, I'm going to give it once a year. At the end of the year, I know exactly how much money I made. I'm going to give a piece of that. That's the mistake that this guy made, that we just talked about. He wanted to wait till the end of the year, and then he figured that he's going to give it at that point. That's not the way to give it. The way to give it is as often as possible. If you make income every 2 weeks, like if you're an employee, you make income every 2 weeks, you should give it every 2 weeks. If you make income once a month, if you're a business owner and you only know what your expenses are and everything at the end of the month, then you give it every month. But the more often you give it, the better it is. Why? Because when you give it less often, then you're pretty much creating a giant door for the Yetzer Hara to interfere. And you're always going to have a reason not to give it at that time. So if you start making it as a part of your life, where in essence, like Shimon said, it's like a tax, but in this case you benefit from this tax, then you're less likely to fail. You're less likely to fail. And more importantly, you can see results much faster. And you get used to it. It becomes part of your life.
What if someone gives you a gift of money? You have to give MaAser from that?
Yes.
So let's say, for example, you live with your uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's normal, whatever. And because you don't have a job, he's giving you a little bit here and there. From what he's giving you, have to give MaAser.
It's considered your income.
Yeah, but he has expenses against that money.
After
It's
the
different.
expenses.
You have to deduct
Again.
the expenses.
Yeah. So again, it's the same thing. It's mine. You have to give MaAser. So if
He's giving you $100 and you have $100 in expenses, what MaAser are you going to give?
right. So if you have, let's say for example, $1,000 in expenses, and your uncle gives you, or somebody gives you tzedakah even, and they give you $2,000, that means you have a net profit of $1,000 after you paid off your $1,000 in expenses. You give MaAser from the $1,000. So with MaAser, it's as important as possible. If someone wants, people always ask about sgulot to be rich, sgulot to make parnasah, sgulot to do all of these things, and people buy strings and do special blessings and all of these different things. Some of them are, right, some of them are nonsense. This is one that's directly from the Torah. This is directly from the Torah. This is not from some rabbi or some Buddha or some Baba or any of that stuff. This is directly from the Torah. MaAser v'titasher. It's a verse in the Torah that's repeated a couple of times. You want to be successful and monetarily wise, give MaAser. That's it. It's very, very, very simple to do it. So then becomes the tough part is with MaAser is that when you have a guy that started with nothing, and he likes to give. He makes, let's say, $2,000 a month. He barely survives. He makes, let's say, out of the $2,000, only $100 of it is actual profit. So he gives $10. And he sees, okay, my income's up. Now he's making $2,000 profit. So he gives $200. It's not so much, $200. It's not hurting him. It's $200. At the end of the day, regardless of whether you're rich or poor, $200 is always going to be $200. If anything, the value keeps getting lower and lower every year with inflation as it is. But then when that guy makes $20,000 each month in profit, now he has to give $2,000. Okay, not so much. What if he starts making $500,000 a month? That's the real test. And that's the test that many, 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 many people fail miserably. Miserably. Why? Because they think that with every dollar they made, the IQ went up also. They're smarter, they're better looking, everybody likes them now all of a sudden, they have a lot more friends. What are these, everybody around them that's not as successful as them is no longer their friend as much. And unfortunately, the difficulty of pride becomes a very, very big new test that they didn't have when they were only making $2,000. So when it comes to that, that's when somebody has the potential to lose everything. And knowing that from life and seeing that, it's something that's really, really extraordinary, because what happens is that when you make a lot of money, you get to a point where you don't think that you will ever lose. Just like when somebody is completely broke or miserable, they think the misery is never going to end. That's our mentality. Our mentality is always extreme. As human beings, we're always going to think if we're depressed because things are bad, they're always going to be bad. And if they're good, they're always going to be good. So somebody that's making $1 million thinks, well, I have to give $100,000. $100,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But they're not realizing that the $1 million was not given to them because Hashem wants them to have $1 million. He gave them the $1 million because the $100,000 needs to go to the right places. So when you have somebody that has $1 million and doesn't give, and he only uses $200,000-$300,000 for himself to live his luxurious life, and he put the $700,000 into investments, Hashem gives him a test. He fails it. 1 year, 2 years. Hashem says, okay, you know what? So really, in reality, you only need $200,000. The $1 million you don't really need because you're not using it for the right thing. So I'm going to take $700,000. So now the guy's down from $1 million to $200,000 or $300,000. So then he looks up to Shemaim and he says, why did you do this to me, Hashem? I go to Beit Knesset, I keep Shabbat, I keep kosher. What did you want? Those things that we just said, the kosher, the Torah, the Shabbat, these are all expected of you. You have to do them. It's not, Hashem is not asking you for a favor to keep Shabbat or to keep kosher or any of those things. You have to do them. So the MaAser is something completely different. And that's what people don't understand. Also in business, I remember some of my employees would say, listen, I want a raise. Why do you want a raise? I'm always here on time. I work hard, I dress nice to work. These are expected of you. What did you want, a cookie? Like, you're supposed to work hard because it's work. You're supposed to be on time because if not, you'll get fired. You're supposed to look nice so you get customers. You don't get a reward for that just for doing that. Yes, we acknowledge it, it's great, but you don't get a bonus because you show up on time. Your customer's not going to pay you more money because you showed up on time. Same thing with this. You can't tell Hashem, listen, I kept Shabbat, I kept kosher, I kept this, give me all this money. No, that's something different. You have to do those things. With MaAser, it's something different. You give MaAser, Hashem says you will be rich. When? He will dictate when. Whether it's today, next year, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that will happen. Hashem does not fail us. And He will test you. If you pass, you'll stay rich. If you fail, you'll have a very, very miserable experience. And I'm not promising you, or cursing anyone to do something like that, chas v'chalila, but I'm telling you from experience, and it's something that's really, really extraordinary of how it works, because if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would never believe it. So this is something that Hashem tells us to really pay attention to. Second thing is, as far as tzedakah. Tzedakah is something completely different. Tzedakah, every person, even someone that's homeless, is obligated to give tzedakah per year, to give putah. Every person has to give tzedakah. Even someone that's homeless has to give tzedakah, but something that they're able to give. With MaAser, you're able to give 10%, but you can give even more if you want. With tzedakah, there's a minimum that you have to give, but in essence, there is no maximum if there are certain conditions that are met. For example, someone can't make themselves homeless by giving tzedakah, but at the same token, someone that has $100 million could very easily give $90 million away. Even though it's 90% of his asset, he's still going to be rich. Whereas someone that has $10,000 should not give and is not allowed to give $9,000 of his money to tzedakah because it doesn't make any sense. He doesn't have much. So there are limitations, and obviously anytime somebody's at that point where they're able to give tzedakah and things like that, they should always consult with a rabbi to make sure that they're doing the right thing. But tzedakah you have to give also every year. But it's not like MaAser where it's part of the income. Tzedakah is above and beyond income. Even if you don't have much of a net income, you still need to give a certain amount. So Hashem is telling us here, all of what you have is mine. If you give it, you will receive more than me. So what does it mean that when Chazal tell us that when you give tzedakah, you're actually benefiting more than the guy that you gave it to? How could it be? I took money out of my pocket, I gave it to him, he benefited. Yeah, okay, I got a mitzvah, but he benefited too.
What was the question?
Chazal teaches us that when you give tzedakah to someone,
You better than the other one?
you get more than he does.
Of course.
Question is, but again, maybe it's the same. He got money though. So he got money. Okay, I got a mitzvah. But why isn't it the same?
Because you rather be in the side of the giver than the side of the giving.
100%. But still, why? But the question is, if I gave him money, I gave him $10, tzedakah, helped him out. He benefited. He was able to buy lunch. I got a mitzvah. He got $10. So at least we should be the same. He benefited and I benefited. Why does Chazal teach us that we both benefited the same? Or actually, that I benefited more than him. That we didn't benefit the same.
It has to do also with the fact that you can initiate. When you're giving, you initiate.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get it, you're passive.
Okay.
So it's not up to you when you get it. But
Right.
when you give, it's up to you.
The answer is you're in the right direction. The answer is that when you give someone tzedakah, you're getting a mitzvah. No questions asked. It's a mitzvah. The person that's getting it is receiving the money. Great, he's benefiting. But again, since we go back and we realize Parnasai is from Shamayim, that means that if you didn't give it to him, he would have gotten it anyway from somewhere else. Meaning that Hashem only used you as a vessel, as a tool, to give it to this guy. You had an opportunity to give it to him. You chose to give it to him, good. If you chose not to give it to him, Hashem will very easily use a different tool to give it to him. He could find the money on the floor, a different person can give it to him. There's a million other ways that Hashem can find to give him the money, because Parnasai is from Shamayim. So the fact that you gave it to him, you really benefited. He was getting it anyway. He was destined to get that money anyway.
Right.
So in reality, you're the one that benefited much more. He was going to get it anyway. And that's what we have to realize, that when we give someone that's in need money, in reality, if we really thought like Chazal, if we really thought like the Torah says, we should say thank you. Not the guy. Not the guy that's giving him $1 or $10 or $100 or $1 million. We should say thank you. Used to saying, a lot of people like to give tzedakah, like, hey, here you go, and they give the guy a little extra, they give him $20, and they expect the guy to be, oh, wow, amazing, thank you so much. And sometimes the guy doesn't say thank you, and they're like, I'm not going to give that guy anymore. In reality, we should say thank you, not him. Because we benefited much more than him. He was going to get it anyway. And that's the thing. The problem with this generation is that you have a lot of people that try to do certain things, but they try to do things that the Torah says, but they do it by using their own logic. They say, yes, okay, the Torah says to give tzedakah, okay, great, so I'm going to bid for this tefillah, and I'm going to tell everybody in the Knesset that I'm going to donate $10,000 to Aliyah for Parnasah. So everybody knows that I gave. Unfortunately, when you do something like that, it's good. You get a mitzvah. There's no question about it. It's a mitzvah. But the reward for it, you already got, at that moment, 90% of it. Why? Because since everyone knows that you gave the $10,000, they're all going to respect you. So all of that extra kavod that you're getting from everyone, that's already 90% of your reward. So you're going to get something in Olam Haba, B'ezrat Hashem, you're going to get something. But if you want to get 100% of the award, you give it anonymously. You want to give, B'Knesset, show up to the B'Knesset, send them an envelope, here it is, please do not tell anyone, or type my name in any pamphlet, or any board, or any website. Here's money, I want to help the B'Knesset, that's the way I want to do it. That's the best way. That's how you guarantee yourself, you'll get 100% of the reward.
And if you give to a homeless, let's say $20,
Good, you're going to get the reward. Yeah, you're going to
Is
get.
it anonymous?
It's different. You're not getting much. You're not getting. If you're giving a homeless guy $1 or $20, the homeless guy is not going to respect you any more or less to him. So you're not getting any reward from him. You're not. Whereas in a B'Knesset or in some type of a event, when everyone knows that's at your level or even higher, knows that you gave, they're going to respect you more for giving. The homeless guy already respects you because he sees you as more than him. So that's also another.
Let's say if it's anonymous, you get 100% reward.
100%, yeah.
But let's say you
So
give
you're
to
anonymous when you give to somebody who is homeless.
Yes, in essence. I mean, it's you get in a way, but it's if you're going to try to give anonymously, the best way to do it is to try to give it to people that actually, not just the homeless people, like we said before, people that are doing kiruv, or people that are learning Torah, because there's more reward in it than there is going to be for somebody that's homeless.
Sorry.
But either way, again, it's good to give. Part of the ways that there are a few signs of knowing whether someone is Jewish or not. One of the signs is kindness. Someone that's not kind, it's questionable whether they're Jewish or not. And there's been many times where people have actually tested this, and they saw somebody that's completely unkind, and they verified that they saw the person His genealogy was not Jewish. So, kindness is part of our mission.
Kindness and נחמדות.
Kindness זה כאילו
חסד.
חסד. So, giving is very, very important. Okay, so now Hashem tells us, give me what what's mine in essence, and we have to follow suit. Okay. The very next quote, it says, "V'zot terumah asher tikchu mi'itam, zav, v'kesef, u'nchoshet." So Hashem says, this is the portion, the terumah. There's no real good word for terumah in English. This is the portion that you shall take from them: gold, silver, and copper, and turquoise, and purple, scarlet wool, and linen, and goat hair. Okay, settled. And a few other things, but the three key things are gold, silver, and copper. Why in that order? Why didn't he say copper, silver, gold, copper, silver? And this is what Chazal teach us about the Hebrew language is very, very special. It's the only language that's directly from the Creator and not from human beings. So, Zav, the Rashi Tavot, if you use each word, each letter, as a word of its own, Zav is Ze Anoten Bari. The one that gives is healthy. Zav, someone who gives without being asked, in essence. Someone who gives with the full heart. Someone who gives anonymously. Someone who's not giving in order to get something in return. Someone is giving purely for the sake of giving. Hashem says this is the highest level of tzedakah, and this guarantees that this person will be healthy. This person will have health. And this is a person that is giving when everything is well. Everything is fine, regardless of what's happening. He's giving without any conditions. He's not giving because somebody's going to give him, he's going to put his name in a weekly newsletter or a website, or because people are going to give him respect. He's giving because he wants to give. That's the highest level of giving. Kesef, ksheroe sakana poteach. When he's kesef, the three letters, when he sees danger, he opens, meaning he opens his pocket. So when someone gets a little ill, someone gets sick, he says, you know what? Or someone loses a little bit of money or a lot of money in the business. He says, before it gets too bad, let me give some tzedakah before it's too late. I don't want to die. I don't want to lose my business. So let me start giving some tzedakah. Maybe Hashem's going to help me. It's also a good level of giving, but it's not like Zav. It's not like the highest. You're not giving with a condition. Here you're giving with a condition. You're seeing something's wrong, and you're saying, okay, Hashem, I got you. I understand the message. I need to give. Let me give. I have X amount of money. I have $50,000 saved over here, but this money is not worth anything to me if I'm dead. So, before you kill me, Hashem, or before you take my business away, let me give some money. So that person...
זה הנותן בריא.
זה הנותן בריא. וכסף זה כשרואה סכנה פותח. So he opens his wallet finally. When they asked him to give, when everything was fine, he didn't want to give. But when he saw that there's danger, he opened his wallet. Okay. נחושת, נתינת חולה שאומר תנו. One who gives when it's already too late. Meaning, this is a guy that's already in his deathbed. The business is a week from being shut down.
What?
נתינת חולה שאומר תנו. I'll give it to you after, you can write it down. So this is a person that's giving already, but it's already too late. He's already on his deathbed. The doctor said, Habibi, you have a week to live. Then all of a sudden, oh no, give the millions, give tzedakah, bring the rabbis here, my friends. What friends? You've been cursing them for 20 years. No, bring them, they're my friends, I'll give them all 100 million I have, I'll give them 99. He still wants to keep a million for some reason. No, give it to the school, give it to this, give it to my ex-wife who I didn't want to give her anything. Give. Why? Because he thinks that if he's going to give it now, it's going to save his life. He's not giving it because he really wants to give it. He's giving it at a point where he's thinking this is my last option. He's a week from bankruptcy, but now he wants to give all of a sudden. That's not a good way. Hashem's telling us, don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait until you're a week from shutting down your business. Don't wait until the doctor tells you, listen, you got a week to live. Don't be so, akshan. Give, full heart. I promise you, I'll give you back. If you trust Hashem, you'll give. If you don't trust Hashem, unfortunately, it becomes a problem. Another thing that's interesting about those three words, this is, all of this I learned from Rabbi Ephraim Kachlon, my cousin. It's extraordinary stuff. The word Zav appears in the Torah 245 times.
Isn't that? No.
What's the question?
Nothing.
Zahav 240 times.
245 times.
That's a lot. המילה זהב.
I thought the gematria had it.
כמה זמן?
Gimatria is 257.
פעמים?
245.
אז מה זה אומר? לא, למה זה אומר שזה גימטריה או משהו?
יש מם.
Okay.
No, יש מם hey.
Another word that's 245 times. That has the 245 is Desh Mem Hey, which equals Tolaim. Tolaim.
למה... מה הקשר?
245 and 245.
Yeah.
The value of...
אבל מה הקשר של זהב לתולעים?
That's the point that we're trying to learn.
Oh, sorry.
That someone that has a lot of zav should not show off too much about all the zav that he has, all the gold that he has, because he has to remember that at the end of his life, what's going to happen to him? He's going to die, and the worms are going to eat him. He's going to be just like anybody else. There was one time a story with a old man, rich, and he wrote in his will, to my children, please make sure that when I die, bury me with socks on. Bury me with socks on. So, the guy dies. They go to Chavat Kadisha. They say, listen, this is our father's request. He wants to be buried with socks on. I said, no, I'm sorry, whatever your father's requests are, it's against halacha, we can't do it. Not allowed to, you could be a millionaire, billionaire, poor guy, not allowed to bury him with socks on. They start fighting, this, that. No way, we cannot bury him with socks on. Get the lawyers, more fighting. No way, we cannot bury him with socks. My father gave a lot of money to the Beit Knesset and to this and that. Can't do it. Okay, they bury him with no socks. They go to the lawyer after a little while to go, everyone get their inheritance. And the lawyer says, okay, before I give you the money, your father wrote you a letter. What's the letter says? He goes, see, by now you're probably disappointed because Chavat Kadisha didn't agree to bury me with my socks. And everybody's like, yeah, how did he know? And he says, well, you see, guys, I worked my whole life to make all of those millions, but even my socks they wouldn't give me. So, the key is for us to realize, again, no one is saying that everybody has to live in poverty and be miserable or anything like that. But we have to realize, why are we here in this world? What is our purpose in this world? And that's something that's very, very key. By the way, the gematria of zav, the numerical value of the word zav, is 2, 5, and 7, which is 14. Okay? 14 is also the gematria of yad, hand. So someone who has a lot of zav should give. That's one of the things we learn from it also. So it's another lot of amazing things that we learn from the word zav. Another thing we learned from zav is that when they built the aron, the ark, Hashem tells us in this parasha that the outside of the ark should be gold, the middle part should be wood, and the inside should be gold. Rashi explains it that it was three different boxes. One box going into another in a precise way, so it looked like it was, in essence, one box. So what does all that gold and wood remind us? Chazal explained to us that a person should be like gold on the outside, look good, represent Hashem in a positive way. Don't walk around like with stains on your shirts and all messed up. You have to, as a Jew, you are a representative of Hashem. Look the part. Inside, all the way inside, you have to have a lot of Torah in you. That's what the zav is, all the way inside. So the root of someone has to be good. The middle part is, remember, even though you look good on the outside, and you are very good on the inside, be very humble. Just like wood. Be humble. Be a regular person. Don't be big pride, mashvitz, trying to get kavod every 5 minutes. Oh, I gave this. Oh, I did this. Oh, you don't know about me. I'm such a big tzaddik. I learn Torah all day. I do this. I do that. Relax. At the end of the times, you'll get what you need. Don't worry about it. You don't need to show off anything that you do. If you give tzedakah, if you learn Torah, if anything that you do, good. Hashem knows. No one else needs to know. You don't need to publicize your life to the world and tell them what you're learning, what you're giving. Hashem knows. That's enough. Because the more you tell other people, the less benefit you'll end up getting out of it. In essence, actually what you're doing, the more you tell other people, you're actually bringing bad on yourself. Not only are you losing a big part of the reward, but you're also creating ayin hara. Ayin hara is so dangerous. We're going to talk about it in a lot more another time. But ayin hara is so dangerous that even someone's own mother can give them ayin hara.
Wow.
Even someone's own mother. Who loves their boy or daughter more than their own mother? Who? No one. Even the father can't love a son or a daughter as much as the mother. Why? Because the son or the daughter, the child, is a part of the mother. It's both a spiritual and a physical connection. So when Chazal tell us that even the mother can give a boy or a girl ayin hara, you know how this is something that we have to take into account. We're not saying that obviously our mothers are doing it, our mothers love us. But again, the important part here is that we have to realize we don't need to necessarily tell everybody our business and what we're doing all the time. Hashem knows, that's enough. That's enough. No need to publicize our good deeds. If He knows, that's already more than enough.
Rubbing it in.
Yeah. Something that's interesting about this thing, it's not really, we're not necessarily going to learn that much from it, but it's interesting of how modern society takes different parts of the Torah and makes it their own. If you remember, a few weeks ago we learned about Moshe Rabbeinu and the story of the shaft, the stick, and how he got it, where it was in the middle of the field of Vitor's land, and he took it out. So, but people took that story and turned it into this Arthur. The Arthur took the sword out of the rock, and that became a popular book that was sold over the years. In this case, there's also something. It's the cheruvim. The cheruvim were these two angels that they put on the ark, on the Aron HaKodesh. Well, Hashem specifically told them to put it on there and also put it on different places. But it was two angels with baby faces. One was a boy, one was a girl, and they symbolize several different things. But the point is that those are the same things that they use for the angel for this recent Goyish holiday for Valentine, right? Valentine. So it's the same thing. They just the Goyim took that one of those angels and made it as if it's the love angel, Cupid. Yeah, there you go. Right. So they take parts of our Torah and make it their own. This is just another one of them. I like seeing that stuff a lot personally because it shows that anything of any good in this world has to come from the Torah. Anything of any good, whether it's an invention or human characteristic or anything that's useful in this world, it always has to have a source in the Torah. It's much amazing. You see it time and time again. Let me see. We're almost done. One thing also we're learning from the menorah that they're building, or they build in this parasha, it's all made of gold, which is a couple of thousand ounces of gold in today's age. It would be worth millions of dollars. And it's all one piece. It's all one gush. It's not like today they build something, they have one piece here, they screw them together. Here, Hashem specifically telling us, you shall hammer from it, meaning that it shall be hammered from it, meaning you should take one big nugget, in essence, and hammer it out to become one piece of gold. And if you ever have an opportunity to go to Jerusalem, they have an exhibit in Jerusalem that shows different things that were parts of the Bet Mikdash, the replicas obviously, not the real ones. And it shows that the thing is huge. And they give you one of the pieces to pick up, a small piece, and it's really, really, really heavy.
It was over 10 feet tall.
It was huge, yes. It's a couple of thousand ounces. They estimate it to be something close to 3,000 ounces of gold. So you could do the math.
כמה זה צריך להיות בקילוגרמים?
נראה לי 2 טון, משהו כזה. 2 טון.
כמה? אתה רוצה כמה זה אאונס זה גרם?
But anyway, the point is, what do we learn from this? What do we learn from this? Everything being one piece, is that unlike modern society that tells you that the church and the state have to be separate, meaning that someone's religion and someone's regular life or someone's business have to be separate. Where if you're religious, you're religious. If you're doing business, you're doing business. But the two parts have nothing to do with each other. In Judaism, it's the exact opposite. In Judaism, everything is part of the same. The first question that someone is asked when they go to Shamayim after Ma'avei Yisrael is, how did you conduct your business affairs? Why, how did you conduct your business affairs? Why not? Did you do any mitzvot? Did you go to Beit Knesset? Did you do tefillin? Why, how did you conduct your business affairs? Because Chazal teach us that you can learn more about a person's righteousness through how they do business. More so than how they go to Beit Knesset. Because someone that goes to Beit Knesset, they can always pretend. Nobody else cares if they're tzaddik, not tzaddik. It's not really that much of a big deal. If it's not what they're doing for a living, if they're just showing up to Beit Knesset, everyone can make pretend like they're really praying hard. And no one's going to know the difference. No one cares enough to know the difference. But if they're doing good, they're not doing good, it won't affect anyone's life. But in business, if someone's dishonest, then you're going to see it. You're going to see them overcharging customers, stealing from customers, stealing from partners, and so on. So, in Judaism, unlike anything else in the world, everything that you do in your life has to have something to do with Hashem and the Torah. From the minute that you wake up to the minute that you go back to sleep, everything has to have some relationship with Hashem. That's how you know it's good. If there are parts of your life that have no Hashem in it, that means there's going to be something wrong there, 100% of the time. You could think for yourself, logically, what do you mean? This is what I do. Maybe it doesn't necessarily need to be this way. If I go out to dinner, with my wife or my girlfriend, why does that have to do with Hashem? That has a lot to do with Hashem. The food you pick has to do with Hashem.
מה זה? 85,000?
409.
מה?
גרם.
גרם, לא, זה קילוגרם.
So it's
16
8 tons.
ounce
תעשה
זה
חלקי
חצי
אלף.
קילו.
תעשה חלקי 1,000.
ממש
בסדר,
שלוש
בסדר.
של
חצי
גרם.
קילו, חצי קילו.
I think it's like a couple. I think it's like 2 tons.
לא,
That's my,
זה 500 גרם.
חבר'ה, הוא מדבר, אתם...
it's fine. It's fine.
No, we're
Uh,
talking
It's a whatever it is. None of us own it, so it's okay. It's not. We're not going to make money from it, guys. It's fine. So the key here is that we need to make sure that every part of our life has to do something with it. Another thing that people always ask me is different, skulot or things for parnasah. Not just me, anybody. People are always looking for ways to make parnasah. Parnasah is a constant difficulty in this world. Even the people that make a lot of money are having a difficult time. And a perfect example happened to me yesterday. A guy that I know for a long time in the investment business. And I remember, the guy, notorious, he's just very, very smart guy, but likes to complain a lot. Complained nonstop. So a few years ago, maybe like 2 years ago, I remember, and he told me, he has like a $5 million business, and it's tough to grow it, I really hope that it's gonna, always talking like he was making it as if he's barely surviving. So this is a couple of years ago, it's maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. Barely surviving with this $5 million business. So look, I haven't talked to him in a while. Yesterday I talked to him, nice guy. And beginning the conversation, he's telling me, the fund business is really difficult. It's really, really tough to grow it. My fund grew a little bit, but it's still very, very, very tough. Oh, where are you at now? I didn't really ask. He told me, he volunteered. But the point is that you're at 25 million. We're at 25 million. So went from 5 million to 25 million, but he's complaining more today than he did 2 years ago. And this is exactly what Chazal said. Why? When he had 5 million, he was complaining because he was hoping to get to 10. So he was missing 5 million in his mind. Now that he's at 25 million, he's like, I don't know, I'm going to get it to 100. So now in his mind, he's missing 75. He feels less rich now than he did when he had 5 million. And that's how all human minds without Torah work. You give someone 100, they're going to want 200. You give someone 200, they're going to want 400. You give them 400, they're going to want 800. So in reality, the more someone has, if they're lacking Torah, the more they're going to feel like they're missing. So then you ask somebody, who's really richer? The guy that's making $50,000, $60,000 a year, or the guy that's making $1 million a year? It's all based on their mind. It's all based on it's all mental. It's not has nothing to do with how much money you have in your bank account. So it's really amazing. So now going back to Parnasah, there are a few things that are very very good for Parnasah. One of them is Birkat HaMazon. Birkat HaMazon is one of the it's the key blessing that is from the Torah itself. Deoraita. It's not the Rabbanan like all other blessings, it's Deoraita. Anytime you say Poteach et Yadecha, that's in essence, there are things that we learned from Rabbi Mansour a few weeks ago. These it's very, very important. Not necessarily just for those three symbols, but for the entire Birkat HaMazon, because when you're saying Birkat HaMazon, you're thanking Hashem. Number one, you're thanking Him for everything He's given you to eat. Number two, you're acknowledging that it's from Him and not from you, which is even more important than thanking Him. Because sometimes you can tell somebody, hey, thanks, buddy, I appreciate you gave me, $10, or you gave me a ride, or whatever, but whatever they gave you, say thanks, but you don't really mean it. Say thanks, like you expected it, because you would do it for Him. But when you acknowledge someone, that means that you appreciate what they did, because you're saying to that person, I don't know what I would have done without you. So when you're acknowledging Hashem, that He gave you food, then you're saying that I know that there is nothing I can do without you. So that's one thing. Another thing that's very important for Parnasah is a relationship with the wife. If someone has a good relationship with their wife, their parnasah will be affected by that. If someone has a bad relationship with their wife, it will be affected by that. Bad relationship with the wife will always lead to bad parnasah. It's guaranteed, it's proven, it's happened, it will continue happening.
Absolutely right.
Bad relationship with the wife will lead to disaster in parnasah. And not only that, it would also lead to somebody being very, very miserable in their life. So, I mean, there's a common saying in English, they say, happy wife, happy life. That also has a relation, that also, even that nice quote comes from the Torah, where it's, in essence, is telling you that if you want to have a good life, you have to make your partner happy also. But as far as men, that's generally in our society are the ones that are responsible for parnasah, for the most part, we have to make sure that we realize that our life is not just to make money. Our life has several different parts of it. Money and parnasah is just a small part of our life. It's 5%, it's 2%, it's 1%. It's definitely not 50% or 100%. So when we have to spend time with our wives, and we have to develop a relationship with them, take care of the kids, live our life, we have to realize if we want our business to succeed, that has to be taken care of even more than the job. Your question?
First I have to get married, then...
Be'ezrat Hashem, it's fine.
אני ואתה פטורים.
The other thing is that most men and women would not generally think of it's related, but it is related. It's not my words. This is Torah. Again, I try to refrain from giving you my opinion unless I tell you it's my opinion. Is the Tzniut of the woman, the modesty of the woman. A woman that's modest will help her husband succeed in business and have parnasah. A woman that's not tznuah, a woman that's not modest, will help her husband struggle more at work. Even if he succeeds, he will not feel like he succeeds. And in general, many of the disasters that happen to women, to businesses and parnasah, part of that reason is what's happening with women's modesty. Why? Because Hashem is telling you that you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to take care of your home. You have a responsibility to make sure that your family is in order. As a husband, you're the leader of the family. You have to make sure that everything is in place. You have to make sure that Torah is in place. The wife is obviously doing what she needs to do by raising the kids in a good way. Even if she works, she has that responsibility. Your work is honest, and so on. When one of those parts doesn't work, then different pieces fail. When the woman is not modest, it's not like a man that's not modest. If I go around, chas v'chalila, but let's say if I go around and I walk around naked in the middle of the street.
מה זה modest?
Modest, it's tzniut. If I walk around and I walk around naked, any woman that looks at me will think I'm crazy and call the cops. Very simple. Any man, not just me. If you have the Mr. Universe walk around naked in the middle of the street, people will call the cops and get him
אפילו
arrested.
בסן פרנסיסקו.
Unfortunately, the modern Zdom. But if a woman does that, all you will get is pictures and admiration and unfortunately many other disasters.
And car accidents.
So a woman obviously is something much more significant. Her beauty is much more significant than a man's beauty. Even if the guy is gorgeous, it's irrelevant. Very few people will ever notice him. So when a woman walks around not modest, it's not about her and her view of whether she's modest or not. Because most women would tell you, listen, I don't walk around. I'm not looking for another guy. And I'm already married. I have kids. I'm 50 years old. I'm 60 years old. I'm 20 years old. Whatever age they are. What difference does it make how I walk around? I'm not looking for anyone. I'm not going to make any sins. It's not about the sins that she's making. It's about the sins that everyone that sees her is making as a result of seeing her that way. Part of those sins will have nothing to do with her. Meaning that a person that looks at her, he's not going to go up to her. But he's going to think of her at the most inappropriate times. even if he looks at her for only 5-10 seconds. When he's in prayer, those are usually the times where those bad thoughts come up. He's praying to Hashem, he's going to think about some woman. Why? Because that's what the Yetzer Hara does. Remember, I told you guys an hour ago, Yetzer Hara is smarter than every human being put together. When is he going to give a man a bad thoughts? During prayer. When you put in tefillin, he's going to think about that woman. When he's about to do anything, even with his own wife, he wants to spend time with his wife, even intimate time, he's going to think about that woman. So that woman that walked around innocently, thinking, it's okay for me to walk around with a tank top, or with a short sleeve, or with a mini skirt, or whatever other clothing that women wear, that's not modest. Unfortunately, she thinks that she's walking around innocently, but in reality, she is machtiat harabim. She is making the public sin. And the amount of sins that a woman can make, just walking one street block, is more sins than most people can make in a lifetime. And unfortunately, unlike Shabbat, unlike kosher, unlike tefillin, unlike many other mitzvot, that there is a way, in essence, to make up for them, you can't make up for modesty. The only way that you could even have a chance to make up for it is by becoming completely modest. So, again, a woman that thinks it's okay for her to wear short sleeves and things that, again, the Torah tells us exactly what a woman needs to look like. When she thinks that she's not doing anything that's a big deal, it really is a big deal. Why? Because she's affecting many, many other people. Those people end up suffering. That creates a lot of sadness for Hashem. And Hashem gives us not only a punishment in the next world, but this world too. One of them is our parashat. Because he needs to punish us in a way that we know it's from him. So again, this is not an easy subject for most people to talk about, for most people to listen to, because people think very, very differently today. They think that women today, unfortunately, think that the less they wear, the more people will like them. So sometimes you will see things that are very, very strange. Women that are extremely overweight, 300, 400 pounds, like something that's out of this world, very unhealthy and not exactly pleasing to the eye or anybody's eye, but they're barely wearing any clothes. How do you explain that? What, they have different mirrors in their house than we have in our house? How do you explain that?
Like rollerblades.
How can you possibly explain it other than the fact that human mentality today has made women think, has led to women thinking that the less they wear, the better looking they are. And that's why you see those women that even though they should never wear anything like that, are wearing that. Same thing explains why obviously the women that are better looking, that are much less weight and so on, are wearing less clothes because they're thinking also the same thing. But that explains why the women that are extremely overweight are doing that. The simple way of explanation of modesty, obviously there's a lot more details to it, but again, modesty is something that's very difficult for most people because no one wants to really change. Again, since we're learning Torah, we're learning about what's going to please Hashem, what's going to help our life. So as far as modesty is concerned, the clothes should not be tight. Women should not be wearing, I'll tell you things you shouldn't be doing and what they should be doing, and obviously everybody leave it to anyone that's watching this or here or on the internet to at least know what's expected. No one is telling you, like a lot of people have this misconception that women need to wear, black all the time, like you're going to a funeral. That's completely wrong. Even if you read every Shabbat, every time you do Kiddush, you read the song Eshet Chayil, and you see in one of the parts it says she has she's wearing purple. So obviously Eshet Chayil is the highest level of tzadikah. So if the highest level of tzadikah is wearing purple, obviously we're allowed to wear colors. But there are certain colors we're allowed to wear, certain colors we're not allowed to wear. So for example, skin color, we're not allowed to wear. Why? Because skin color looks like the person's naked. So if a woman wears something that's skin color, she wears a dress that's skin color, she looks like she's naked. So that's, again, logical. something that completely stands out, in an extraordinary way, she should not wear out. She should not bring that much attention to herself. Clothing should generally be looser, should not be tight. The women are supposed to cover up to their elbows, so short sleeves, tank tops are no. Pants, obviously no. Should be skirts, and the skirt should be above, cover the knees when they're sitting. Why when they're sitting? Because a lot of women think that if I wear a skirt up to my knees, it's okay. Unfortunately, it's not okay, because as soon as a woman sits, the skirt goes up a little bit. It goes up at least 6 inches, and you start seeing parts of her body that you're not allowed to see. So again, if you're already doing the mitzvah, do it all the way. It's another 6 inches. It's not, or 5 inches, or 2 inches, or whatever it is. It's again, the clothing needs to be that way, and it's that's one part. The other part is obviously kisui rosh. Masechet Sotah explained that the significance of kisui rosh, and they talk about in the Gemara about how the obligation of a woman is to cover her hair. Now, why cover her hair? Because the hair is one of the most beautifying items in a woman's body. Most guys don't necessarily think that way, but if you ask people, if you have 10 guys to look at one woman or 2 women, and they both are identical twins, one is bald and one has long hair, every one of them will always pick the one that has long hair. They're not saying that the other one's ugly. They're just going to prefer that one. Even if it's an identical, because the person looks very, very different that way. So a woman that's married needs to show that only to her husband. That's why covering hair is very, very important. So much so that in the Gemara it says a story, or actually in the Torah it says a story. We're going to get up to that probably in a few weeks. Where there was one time there was a woman that didn't respect her husband, and she went and started talking to a strange man, some guy, privately. And she violated the modesty rules. What does it mean? It means that she talked to a private person in a closed room that other people didn't have access to. So you didn't really know what was going on inside. That's obviously not allowed. If she's obviously, women that conduct business can go and sit down in business meetings, things like that, but obviously there have to be in areas where other people can access that room. They can't lock the room with just one man and one woman. I don't think any man would want that either. For his wife to constantly be in one room with one man all day, all long. It's not exactly ideal for any man to live a life like that. So anyway, this woman did that. Her husband warned her to stop doing it. She didn't listen. Then she did it again, and her husband brought witnesses to again warn her. She didn't listen. So then what they did is they went to the Bet Mikdash. He brought it to the Bet Mikdash in front of the Kohanim, and to testify whether she really cheated on him or not. Now in those days, didn't have private detectives like we have today. They didn't need that. They only had one private detective, which is Hashem. Hashem would verify if the woman ever cheated on him or not. And how do they do it? They would take Shem Hashem, take the name of Hashem, they would write it on a cloth, and they would put it into water, to a cup of water, and put the name of Hashem into water. And this is the only time that you're allowed to erase Hashem's name. In general, you're not allowed to erase Hashem's name. So they would put the cloth inside the water, and then the water would obviously take the letters and the ink off of the cloth. The woman would then drink it. If she cheated on her husband, obviously Hashem knows. Her stomach would blow up and she would die. If she didn't, then the Kohanim would bless her with such a blessing that every child born at that moment that she would have would become Gdolado. Not because they would respect them, but because they would know that much Torah, would be born with that much Torah. But before they went into that, because this woman already made a violation, even if she didn't actually cheat and have intimate relations with the husband, she still made a violation by disrespecting her husband. So what would be the first thing that they do? They would take off her kisui rosh. Because to take off her kisui rosh was considered the biggest embarrassment. Equivalent to how she embarrassed her husband by constantly being with a man in a closed room. So imagine, even a woman that's disrespecting her husband is still wearing kisui rosh, is still thinks it's very, very important. And for her, it's so embarrassing to take off the kisui rosh. So as much as the husband feels embarrassed to even be at the Bet Mikdash, to present his wife as a sotah possibly, as somebody that's possibly cheating on him. Her life is on the line. He's obviously embarrassed to be here. He's not happy to be here. He's not saying, yeah, dafka, kill her, kill. He's not saying this. It's his wife. He doesn't want her to cheat on him. He wants his wife. If he didn't want her, he would have asked for a get. So he's embarrassed to be here. And for her, the same level of embarrassment is just to take off a kisui rosh. That's how significant the kisui rosh is. Another story about the water is that there was one time a story where a woman had an identical twin, and she did cheat on her husband. But she told her sister, listen, go there for me. They're not going to recognize the difference. Go there for me and drink the water. Because I know if I drink the water, I'm going to die. So her sister went, and she drank the water, and nothing happened to her. But the one that was left back home, the one that really cheated, she died. She blew up anyway. Why? Hashem b'shamayim. The water didn't have, it's not, again, people always try to use their logic and think it's maybe the water had some special poison in it, and it made the woman blow up. No, the water was just a tool to make it look like it was a natural event. The water was just a tool that Hashem used to make it look like it's a natural event. But obviously water with a little bit of ink is not going to make anybody's stomach blow up. Hashem just used it to make it look natural. But to punish the woman, obviously, he doesn't need the water. So he didn't need the water. He obviously punished the right one. So, again, a lot of these things are stories that if we don't connect them to our modern day life, we don't really know why we even told these stories. But the biggest key, the biggest lesson we learn from this story is the significance of kisui rosh. Again, it's very tough for women to do it. I understand it's not an easy thing to do. But when someone is trying to live a life where Hashem is a significant partner in it, then both the man and his wife need to be partners. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes women want to wear kisui rosh, but their husband don't want it. There's very, very few sins above, that are worse than that. A woman that wants to wear kisui rosh and her husband doesn't let her, I don't know what kind of punishment the man's going to get for something like that, because in essence, he's really ridiculous what he's doing. And that's if the woman is already going to the extent of being willing to do it, and to do something for Kavod Hashem, and the man is stopping her from it, it couldn't be more ridiculous for her. It's just like sometimes women say, listen, I want to be more modest, but my husband likes that when I wear these mini skirts and this and that. So I'll finish off with this story, and then you guys get the gist of all of this. So one time there was a rabbi came to a party. Somebody had in their house. He was invited, and he came to the party, and he saw that the guy hosting the party, was talking about women and this, that, and the other thing, and he was telling everybody that he's going to some exotic island with his wife. And they're going to hang out on the beach and do all of these things. And the rabbi told him, wait a minute, so you're telling me that you're one of these people that goes to the beach and your wife hangs out on the beach with a bikini? He goes, yeah, of course. What's wrong with that? And the rabbi is obviously a Talmid Chacham. To him, this is completely illogical. So he says to them, okay, wait a minute. So I understand. So why don't you tell your wife to put on that bathing suit and come, I want to see it. Bring it here, I want to see it. The homeowner got so upset, he almost wanted to hit the rabbi. How dare you? Rasha, what kind of rabbi are you? asking my wife to come down here with a bathing suit. There's 300 people here, respectable in suits. You wanted to walk around with a bathing suit? He goes, wait a minute. So you're telling me that it's okay for her to go on the beach with 15,000 people are watching her, and who knows what they're imagining of her, half naked. But here with only a couple of hundred people, you have a problem with it? So again, sometimes if we use our logic, it doesn't, things don't make sense. But if we spend a little bit of time thinking about Hashem's logic, it makes a lot of sense. Again, none of these things in our mind are going to be easy to do. Why? Because we have the Yetzer Hara constantly fighting it. The Yetzer Hara right now is telling you, this guy's crazy, he's fanatic, he's this, he's that, don't listen to anything he says. All of these things he's going to tell you. 100%. But the only way to overcome it is with Torah. And that's the last ingredient for Parnassah that I'll finish off the night with. Someone that wants to have Parnassah has to have Torah in his life every single day, at least a little bit of time. Make some time for learning Torah, whether it's 15 minutes a day, or an hour a day, or more, whatever it is, make some time for Torah. You're guaranteed to have Parnassah, because Hashem says in Birkat HaMazon, Na ra'iti v'gam zakanti v'lo ait tzadik ne'ezav v'zahov v'kesh lachem. So the key here is Hashem's telling us, there's never been a time where someone that's righteous has begged for food and didn't get it. As in essence, no one has ever gone hungry. You've never heard of a tzaddik dying from hunger. If we have a little bit of Torah in our life, listen, maybe we're not going to be Chazal, maybe we're not going to be Rabbi Akiva, but we're going to do what Hashem wants. And Bezrat Hashem, all of us will live every single day doing a little bit more and more of what Hashem wants, and Hashem will give us a reward in this world and the next world. And thank you very much, guys.
Amen.